Hi everyone, Materim here with another Southern Assault prep game. Have my Saurian Ancients versus Skip's Kingdom of Equitaine. We are doing 4,500 points, obviously, with the essentially game 3 setup, which is the denied flank deployment and the hold the center objective. The little pyramid there in the center of the board is just to mark the center. And again, we are using the map setup from the map pack on the forum site. So let's go ahead and get into deployment. Okay, starting with Kingdom of Equitaine. First up front there, he has a unit of 10 peasant bowmen with musicians. Then he has a unit of 10 Knights of the Realm with full command. Hanging out with them is his battle standard bearer, which is a paladin with the dragon scale helm, the stalker standard, the virtue of piety, and yeah, that's it. And yeah, sorry, it's been a while since I've looked at a list from Kingdom of Equitaine. I'm wanting to make sure I've got everything there. Next to that, in conga line formation, is a unit of 5 yeoman outriders with a musician. Then there is a unit of, looks like 10 of the knights aspirant with full command. Hanging out in the middle of that is a damsel on a warhorse who is a wizard apprentice with 2 spells to the lore of divination. Behind that on the hill is his trebuchet. Then he has a unit of 40 peasant levy with musician and standard bearer. Actually, they have a champion too, so that's full command. And in with them is a castellan with the bronze breastplate. Then there's another unit of 5 outriders and another unit of 10 peasant bowmen. Hanging out with them is a damsel on foot who is a wizard master with 4 spells to divination. She has the Book of Arcane Power and the Sprout of Rebirth. And scouted in way over here on my flank is a unit of 9 Knights of the Quest with full command. And hanging out with them is a questing paladin who is his general, and he has the lucky charm, and obviously the questing. It says it favor of the Grail. I don't know if that's. I think he's got the questing oath here, but yeah. So he's over there in my flank, and that's decidedly scary because those guys are designed to murder monsters. So definitely want to keep my monsters away from them. Okay, so on my side, we'll start on the right of the screen. I have my Stygiosaur. He does have the champion upgrade for the spells. Then there are 5 Caimans with full command, a Spearback up on the hill, and 15 Skink Braves with bows. Behind the Skink Braves is the Tyroscutus with the Sun Engine on him. Then half on the hill is my unit of 32 Saurian warriors with full command. They have spears, shields, and the Serpent Warrior upgrade. Hanging out with them is also my battle standard bearer. He is on that top right corner there. He is a firstborn veteran. He has the Axe of Battle, Lucky Shield, and a Potion of Swiftness. Next to that is my Taurosaur with the Engine of the Ancients, and you can't really see him well, but there is a second Spearback right in. Then next to that is my 20 Temple Guard with full command, and in them is my General, a Quaddle Lord with Skull Splitter, the Jade Staff, the Wisdom of the Ancients, so he ends up having 5 spells to the Path of Evocation. So this is my first time trying Evocation out. I wanted to go with a very close combat heavy list to do it, and I think this is it. Um, I'm not entirely sure how well it'll work. I've got to be careful because his knights just can outrange me in terms of the charge. My only hope is that I can get them to go into that big Unitosaurus and just hope that my number of bodies will cancel out a lot of his threats. So my upfront targets, in my opinion, are these small archer units and the small yeoman units so that I can get rid of his chaff so he can't block up my countercharge lanes. So that's my aim going into this part. I ended up getting first turn, and I forgot to take a picture of my movement. I didn't do much. I advanced here. The biggest thing I did is that I turned the Stygiosaur and the Caimans to deal with those incoming questing knights, but that's pretty much it. During Magic, I tried to snipe out his BSB. That didn't work, so I decided the next best thing was to go ahead and drop Whispers of the Veil on him, and that went off. But I didn't get any other magic off this phase. So during some shooting, I end up pinging off 2 of the archers with his wizard's unit. I also get 1 of the Knights of the Realm, or no, sorry, 1 of the Yeoman Knights gone, or the Yeoman Outriders gone, and 1 of the Peasants on this side gone. So, not great, but I'm starting to reduce models, which is okay. Then KOE's turn 1. He ends up reforming his Peasant Levy into a Horde, and then moves up his chaff to start getting in my way. I think he moved the Night Bricks a little bit, but not very much. He knows he's got me outranged, so he doesn't really want to overcommit. Over here, he decides to go ahead and move the Outriders up right in front of my uh, the spearback so that I can't see his archers back there. The one thing he did kind of mess up there is that I can see those yeomen with the Caimans, so I can take care of them or at very least chase them off. And he moved up. He may have moved up just a little bit with his Knights of the Quest because I think I had moved out of his charge range when I moved him around this way. Over here, he drops a rock on the Temple Guard, and thankfully the ward save from the Engines of the Ancients helped me out, so I only lose 4 there. And then we go into my turn, because his magic, I held him off. So I did charge the Yeomen with the Caimans. They fled, and I was just barely within range for a legal charge against the Questing Knights. So I redirected there, knowing that I was probably going to fail the charge, but at least this way, the failed charge movement would move me forward instead of presenting my flank to these knights. Then I decide that I need to thin them down before they get into battle, so I run my Stygiosaur up here on the side so that I can spit some poison at them and hopefully take out 1 or 2. And over here, I decide he's got range on me already, so I might as well come up aggressively. I want to get those knights out while staying at a decently far range from that horde, because I don't need that static combat res potentially messing me up. So this is kind of how I've got it set up. You can see, actually, yeah, the other thing I did, I actually tried to charge his yeoman with the Saurus Knight or Saurus block. They fled, ran through the knights that are back on the hill, and then I tried to redirect into the archers. They fled as well. I really didn't care about getting into those combats. It was more to get exactly what I got, to get him fleeing and to open that area up so that he's not blocking up any potential counter charges once he gets into my Saurus. So that's pretty much what I've got that set up going for. Over here you can see where the Outriders fled. They actually fled through the water and took a dangerous terrain and lost a guy. And then I'm having the spearback go after him to keep trying to shoot at the wizard's block in the back there. My magic phase didn't go great. You will notice that he failed to dispel my spell that's on his unit last turn. But he didn't let me get off the snipe spell again. So all I really had a chance to do was the bubble evocation of souls. So everything over here is radiating negatives to leadership and fear. And then over here, figuring if he did get in with the knights, I was going to need all the help I could get. I throw the Awaken the Beast for toughness on the Caimans and get them ready to eat some great weapons. But then luck is with me. I go ahead and Poison Breath the questing knights, kill 3 of them, which is enough for a panic test, and he fails the panic test and flees. So that is pretty awesome and buys me a turn over here, at least to kind of come up and get ready to deal with those guys. Over here, I do some shooting. It looks like I kill 1 of the Knights of the Realm with all my combined shooting. And then the spearback over here is still trying to kill these peasant bowmen that's hiding the wizard, and I get 3 of them. Not terrific. And then KOE turn, and it goes bad. He charges the spine back with the Knights of the Realm. I have to stand and shoot and don't inflict any wounds. But I figure that's okay. He charges his Aspirant Knights into my brick. I'm thinking I can handle that. And then he actually succeeds the charge with the Peasant Horde into the brick as well. And now I'm a little less sure. I don't have the ability to throw too many attacks into that brick, and that's just a bunch of static combat res. He also has a character there on the corner, the Castellan, and I don't really know what he's got because we're still playing closed lists, but that's got me worried. On the plus side, he's matched up right against my BSB, so I hope I'm going to be able to take him out. The other thing I'm worried about is this is a lot of attacks coming in. I'm just hoping that I can keep enough of these guys alive to stick on my leadership, and if I can do that, then I've got one hell of a counterattack coming, but we'll have to see what happens. And then over here, he fails to rally with his questing knights, and they run within 2 inches of the board, and where they are sitting, they are just barely within maximum possible charge range of the Stygiosaur, which means they're going off the board next turn. During his magic phase, he gets Stars Align off on the Aspirant unit. You can also see that he did rally his bowmen and the outriders over here. He also throws the attribute spell on the aspirants, which I probably wouldn't have done because they're already frenzied, so they're immune to pretty much all of the leadership stuff. I probably would have thrown that on the peasants just for good measure. Then we go into combat. Obviously, his unit of Realm Knights absolutely trashes the spearback, and they overrun and clip the front of the Saurus unit. So now I've got 2 lances and a horde of freaking peasants in my front, and this is going to make me scared. But it goes very well for me. First thing I do, my BSB drinks his potion of speed, so I get to go first and kill the Castellan before he gets to go. And then I do 1 more wound to the peasants, not much to them. And thanks to some very nice lethal strikes with these spears, I end up killing a total of 5 knights. He ends up doing, I think it ended up, I was up by 1 wound, so I think he did 9, or no, he did 8 and I did 9. Then we factor in all of the combat res, and he actually wins by 1 or 2. But either case, I'm cold-blooded with the reroll. General's right there, so I managed to stick it out. He decides to go ahead and reform the peasants into a bus to help himself get some more static combat res, which is probably a good idea. Downside is he's about to eat a lot of pain. And that's exactly what happens. I send my Quaddles unit into the flank of the knights, send the the Taurosaur into the front, send the Tyroscutus into the front of the peasants, and that's a lot of pain that he's going to have to put up with, particularly now that uh, he doesn't have the lance bonuses. He kind of like in retrospect, I think he kind of flubbed on a lot of the to hits and stuff. So he didn't do as much damage as he really should have, which is really going to hurt him now that I've got pretty much my whole army against his right here. And over here, obviously, I'm going to charge his general's unit of questing knights off the board. That was just an absolutely tragic leadership role for my opponent to break just for me killing those 3 knights. But I can't say that it hurts my feelings too bad, though I'm sure it did his. I also throw the spear back here into the unit of Outriders. He stays because he's afraid I'm going to try and go for his wizard's unit if he had fled, which is exactly what I was going to do. So we go into combat. I think in Magic phase I get rerolls to hit off on my Big Saurus block, but that was it. But yeah, I kill all but one of the Outriders and run the remaining one down and end up where you see me. And then over here, it is bad. Um, I kill not too many of the peasants. I kill a few of them, but I annihilate the Knight's Aspirant unit except for the wizard that was hiding in them. And I kill all but the BSB and 2 of the Knights out of the Lord's unit. So I end up, the peasants were steadfast, but the wizard and the BSB's unit auto break. Unfortunately, due to the fear penalties and everything, the peasants also auto break. They actually get run down by the Tyroscutus. The other 2 units break, and I do not catch them. And by just random coincidence, the flee or the pursue rolls basically end up reforming me into another battle line here. But looking at this, my opponent has nothing but a few peasants left on the board, and he decides that there's no point in playing out the rest of the game, so he surrenders at this point. And naturally, that leads to a Saurian Ancient victory by surrender in top of 3. Wow. I got I think I got lucky in a couple of key instances. I don't think he did as many wounds as he really should have in that first charge. And he really didn't need too many more to break that Saurian warrior unit. If he had done that, we'd have been looking at an entirely different setup. Not to mention if he had managed to get his questing knights into anything before they fled and ran off the board, that would have been something majorly different as well. As far as my list, I actually like this. I think my tournament list is not going to look too far away from this, though I am leaning more towards divination as opposed to evocation for my lore. I just think the ability to take Pathmaster for the Quaddle and pick my spells is just too good to pass up. And Divination has a lot of very strong spells, including some magic missiles and stuff. Excuse me. That Evocation just doesn't have. So I'm also not thinking that Skull Splitter is worth it on the Quaddle Lord. I didn't really do much with it. So it's just kind of some extra points I don't need to be spending. But I may go with something that gives me a little bit more chaff, but I'm not sure. I've still got to play with it a bit. But I am very much looking forward to the tournament. I know that given sort of how many times I've changed my list and the armies I've played against, I'm not sure that that I'm super prepared, but I've definitely done more focused preparation for this than I was doing for like brawlers and that sort of thing. So hopefully that'll pay off some. I have to get my list in and submitted by next week. So I think I'm going to do a video where I talk about the list that I've chosen and stuff like that before I send it in, like I did with brawlers. Um, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. I know it was very short, but when events just go against you, I really can't fault my opponent for not wanting to play another 3.5 turns of me just running around and picking up his points. So I can certainly see why he wanted to call it here. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you are of a mind to go to my Patreon, which is listed below, and donate to the channel. Help us make better videos, get better armies, get to different tournaments, all that kind of fun stuff. Any donations would be appreciated, and I certainly hope that to those who have already chosen to become patrons, that I continue to provide you guys with a lot of entertainment. I'm hoping once we, probably after next week's games, we're probably going to go back to uh, the campaign, because I'll have gotten as much training as I can frankly fit in for the Saurian Ancients. So I'm hoping to get that back rolling for those of you who have been missing the narrative games. But thank you guys for watching, and we will catch you on the next one. Bye.